Hey, and welcome. Start over. Take two. My name's Alec Gonzalez, coaching the Red Line. I'm a life coach and spiritual director. I work with pastors, especially in Eastern Washington and small churches. I love to do coaching, spiritual direction. And I'm here with Joel Waite of Keller Williams. Always like to start at the beginning. Where were you born? What was family of origin stuff? How many siblings? That kind of junk.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I was born in Vermont, small little town dot on a map.
Vermont.
So I have two older brothers, mom and dad, still married, still happy together, which is not always the case. So
I make mental note every time someone says their family is together or divorced. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
It's good to know.
It's cool when they're together,
yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Something to be grateful for, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So our story is a little convoluted, but the very nutshell version is around when I was 8, my dad decided he wanted to be a full-time pilot, so we moved to Florida to do a pilot training program that was down there. Okay. So we moved our whole family to Florida. Didn't know really anybody there, and then that's where I ended up growing up, and came out here for college. So
yeah. Siblings?
2 older brothers. I've got my middle brother Caleb, my oldest brother Seth.
Okay.
So
nice. Yeah. And are they much older or same ages?
So Caleb is 4 years older than I am. Seth is 6 years older than I am. So
what were you into as a kid?
Legos. 100%.
That was your thing, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
Especially because I'm definitely more of an introverted. I was definitely an introverted kid for sure. Okay. I would spend most of my time just in my room listening to audiobooks and playing with Legos.
Nice. What about teenage years? Were you an athlete? Were you?
No. I did a lot of reading as a teenager.
I wish I would say that.
I wish I could still say that. You know, especially as an adult, it's hard to find time to sit down and read a book.
Reading's the best.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
So I don't know. I just like I said, I was pretty introverted, so I didn't do a whole lot that wasn't just hanging out by myself.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
I don't know. That might sound depressing for some people.
The next thing I always lean into is sort of the arc of faith, family of origin, when Jesus started to make his mental note. If you ever made a solid commitment, what was that like? What's going on now as far as your relationship with God?
Yeah. So my my parents are both Christians. My dad was an assistant pastor in Vermont, so the whole time I was alive. And then so faith has always been a part of who I am. I said the sinner's prayer when I was probably 4, in Awana.
Nice.
But I will say that when in my experience growing up in it wasn't really my faith. It was, this is just how our household was.
Right.
So around 16 is when I decided, I kind of rededicated myself to it. And I was like, I'm going to make this my own. This is true. And I want to believe and follow that wholeheartedly.
Well, was there a story there? Cause that sounds pretty cool, but I often,
Yeah. I mean, it's not like a, I definitely didn't, flash a light or, hear God's voice or anything like that. It was really just the youth pastor at the time, Corey. He was, I don't know. He had that way of talking with kids where you just got the feeling of oh, this is real. This is more than just what my family does. This has an impact.
That's cool.
So, one day after youth group, I just pulled him to the side and I was like, what do I do? How do I make this more who I am?
Nice. That's a great story. That's a great story. It's funny because I come from one of those churches that did celebrate people who had, conversions that were like, oh my gosh, you were such a sinner, a terrible person, doing drugs and being a bad person. And now look at you. So, but my wife, she was raised in a church, said the sinner's prayers when she was like 2 or 3 years old, and has been wonderful. Never had all those problems that we all have. That's great, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's same thing. Like, I'd be you'd be in church and you heard all these testimonies, like, I'm off cocaine, I'm no longer an alcoholic, and as a teenager you're sitting there being like, man, I wish that was my story. like I'm so boring. But yeah, especially as an adult, you're just like, oh, thank God that wasn't me.
I know.
Like, I am okay with the struggles I had.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, one thing I like to move into is talking about how difficulty and trouble, even tragedy, has shaped us, and that God has used, or just the reality of life, that sometimes what's, freaking terrible, creates a superpower or a calling or a strength, a backside that you're like, I would have never planned to go through that hellacious thing, but on the backside, I can see how it's formed me into some of the person that I am.
Yeah. Like my story definitely doesn't have the like big tragedy or things like that. Like there are small tragedies, obviously.
Yeah.
But I will say that like if you grew up in church, you've heard the like, don't pray for patience, because God will just give you situations where you have to be patient, like waiting in line and all those things. So I never prayed for patience, but I did pray for wisdom, and that was one thing that has been a consistent prayer in my life. Is I want to be wise in situations, and the way that God does that is He puts you in situations where you have to make wise choices. Okay. And a lot of the times, especially as, a teenager, young adult, you don't make wise choices. That's for sure. You learn from them. Yeah. So I moved out to Spokane to go to Moody Bible Institute when they had a camp. Yeah, when they had campus out here. Yeah. So and I did that because like I said, I had wanted to make my faith my own. And part of that was learning about my faith. Yeah. And what better way to do that than Bible college? Yeah. Is what I thought. So I came out here, and as an 18-year-old, they didn't have dorm rooms. Like so I was living in a house with 5 other guys. Yeah. Working full time, trying to put myself through college. Like I didn't get loans, scholarships, nothing like that. It was it was me doing 40 hours a week at a restaurant. Yeah. While trying to, do school and everything. So I had to grow up fast, basically. You moved out here and you weren't in your parents' house anymore. Like everything was on your shoulders. I was 3,000 miles away from my parents, So it really just, it really solidified being an adult and being, reliant on God. And the fun thing about my life is there's a lot of times where it's very much just like, I shouldn't have been able to get through that, like either financially, there's no way I should have been able to rent a house, pay for food, gas, groceries, all the things, and pay for school. That just it doesn't feel like that's a possibility, but it was always there. The money was always there when I needed it.
So when you were going to Moody, where did you attend church?
I went to Mosaic.
Okay. I know that's where I've known you. I'm sure that's where we've met.
Yeah.
The first time I met you, I was like, I know this guy. I don't know where I know him from. Okay. John's a good friend of mine, and some of the folks at Mosaic are close to me. Yeah. Have you been still going there? Or
so currently my wife and I go to Summit, and we've been going there for 8 years now, 8 or 9 years.
That's Grant, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Pastor Grant. Yeah. Nice. Love that guy.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but great things. Our church just had one of his church plants, David Llewellyn, who planted from, did you know David?
Bright Hill, right?
Yeah, Bright Hill. Well, they're taking over our church, or merging with our church, however you want to define it.
Okay.
And so David is our new pastor. Apparently they're in-laws in some way that I'm unfamiliar with. So that's cool.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with their family tree. I think it's David is his wife's like uh, brother-in-law. I think. I don't know.
All right.
That could be entirely wrong. I'm sorry if I'm spreading misinformation.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So, are you involved at Summit in any way as a
Actually, that's
volunteer or anything?
I actually just talked to the volunteer coordinator on Sunday
No
to
kidding.
figure out where I can get plugged in. You know, I've been
Nice.
going there for so long. It's like, all right, it's time for me to
Oh,
jump
good
back
for you.
in and start because at Mosaic, like I ran the sound. I was the sound guy for
Okay.
most of the time.
All right.
So yeah,
Nice.
so I like tech stuff. I
right.
wouldn't mind getting involved with that again. But
Good.
yeah,
Okay, moving on to my next question. I always like to ask that has more to do with coaching and direction, mentoring, sort of who in your life or what's the story of someone that came alongside that was like a spiritual director or a life coach. I know you've been working with Alex John, who's terrific. I mean, he's just such a great coach and has been actually a help to me, not as an official life coach, but has really helped me with stuff. But what's a story of someone that's come alongside, and how's it been basically I'm asking you to make a little commercial for me.
fair. Coaching very important. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
I would say that like my dad was really good about being like a strong mentor and a good like a coach alongside us boys.
Yeah.
But outside of family, I had another youth pastor. His name was Trevor Miller. It was a small church that we ended up going to, probably like I don't know, maybe 100 people in the congregation,
Yeah.
real small. The high school group was me and 3 other girls. So it was a real small community. But yeah, Trevor was, he was probably he was the first guy that really was I made the intention of, I'm going to take you under my wing.
Yeah.
And just kind of brought me alongside him in his and his wife's life, come over, just come over, hang out, help with the dishes, make dinner, like that kind of stuff. Just like do life with us, and through that, just modeling what Christianity looks like.
Awesome.
So he was a Moody graduate. He went to the Chicago campus. So he's one of the reasons why I decided to do that was his encouragement of like, there's a good way to learn is to get out, spread your wings, and
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, so Trevor was a good influence. But yeah, I mean, he's just one of many, one of many that have come alongside me throughout my life.
Nice. Okay, Keller Williams, real estate. What's tell us about what you love about it, how you got into it, anything you want to say about it. We'll ask more questions as you fill in the details.
Yeah. I will say I'll tie it into the question you asked earlier about tragedy, because I feel like I didn't really cover that. But other than it just being like, there's a lot. So 2025 was it was a transformational year for me. I had been working at STCU as a banker for 5 years, and I've struggled with depression for my adult life. So that is something that is a constant for me. So STCU, I'd worked there for 5 years. The last 2.5, 3 years, my mental health had just had crashed and was not doing well. To the point where my wife, who is very, very security mindset, really likes to see a paycheck come in every week. She looked at me and she was like, you've got to leave. You got to quit. This is killing you. So at the end of January 2025, I quit my job with no prospects, no nothing. And throughout 2025, I applied to hundreds of jobs from, banking positions, which I'd been doing for 5 years, to random things, just entry level, please just somebody give me a paycheck. And I wouldn't hear back, or you'd get the like polite email of we moved on, we're going with somebody else. But throughout 2025, it was a time where God really sat me down and was like, I'm the one that provides for you. You're not the one that provides for your family. Like, at the end of the day, it's me.
Yeah.
And we saw his provision throughout the year of like, like we're married, we've got a house, like, there's bills to pay, cars to pay for, like there's all the normal stuff. And like, we didn't miss a payment. We didn't, like our mortgage was always covered. The car was paid for, like all the things, like we never went hungry. Like God really just through sometimes random ways, sometimes just, like pulling money from some savings that we stashed away, things like that, where it was just like, he's showing his provision throughout.
That's awesome.
And then, my, Candace and I have always loved watching like, home remodel shows and, that kind of stuff. So we were watching House Hunters. And this probably would have been somewhere in June. And I was just like, what would you think about me doing that? Like, do you think I could be a real estate agent? And she's like, yeah, I think you could. And I've never had this experience, but every like friend or person that I've talked to that I'm like, yeah, like I'm thinking about doing real estate. Every single one of them was like, oh, that's perfect for you. That's a great idea.
Oh, no
like,
kidding.
why didn't you tell me that 5 years ago? But it just,
awesome.
it seemed like a good fit. So I, the first thing that I did was, you go on Indeed, you type in real estate, and Keller Williams was doing a like, come check us out kind of night, so I actually met Alex John there.
Was he the first guy you met?
He was the first guy that I met at Keller Williams.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So chatted with him. He did his whole, he did his like 45-minute, kind of presentation talk about what real estate was, had like, just kind of give you some more of the inside information on it.
That's awesome.
And then at the end, they offered a, if you're interested, like we'll pay for you to get your license, with no obligation to Keller Williams. Like they,
I remember hearing about that.
So they'll pay for you to take the class without, and then you could go and work for, Exit Realty or whoever. Like it didn't matter to them.
Right.
Which of course speaks highly about that company, like they're not twisting your arm or like making you sign a contract.
Yeah.
So I did it. I got my license, right at the end of July, started working for them beginning of August.
Yeah.
And, it's like a whole different world. I've been interested in real estate from like the investment side of things when I worked at the bank.
Right.
But not like being the real estate agent. So
nice.
It's a whole new world for me. But over and over, like I've seen God show up, and like I had closed my first deal in October.
All right.
Which isn't really normal in the real estate world. Like there's a lot of people, like I know a guy in our coaching program. He's been working for 2 years in real estate and he still hasn't closed a deal.
Yeah.
Or he's closed one, I guess.
Okay.
In 2 years.
You got a stretch goal for 2026?
Yeah, I do.
You want to say it out loud on the podcast?
This is where it becomes the audacious, only God can do this.
Nice. Nice. I love audacious. I love stretch goals.
And I'll preface this a little bit. My wife and I have not been able to have kids of our own. Her brother and sister-in-law adopted kids from Brazil 2 years ago. And they're amazing. We love our nieces and nephews. They're incredible kids. 6 of them. They got 6 of them at the same time.
Wow.
That's a whole podcast on its own.
Yeah.
But through their journey and through our journey of infertility, God has really put on my wife's heart and more recently my heart of, you're going to adopt.
Okay.
And in the summer of last year, when I didn't have a job, I didn't have any prospects, my wife heard from God, you're going to adopt in 2 years.
Okay.
That was 7 months ago.
Nice. Nice.
And just to like set the stage, like me being out of work drained us to zero. Like we are starting from nothing.
Okay.
You know?
Nice. I love it.
And so this is something that like only God can do this. So I like through doing some like business planning and things like that with Keller Williams, I have been hearing and feeling like I'm going to sell 38 units.
38 houses. If you want to be one of 38 to help Joel adopt a kid, man, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd
So
that's awesome.
And it literally would be like we would get to the end of this 2 years and it would just, we'd look back and it would be like the only way that this could have been is God.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And to put a little context in that, because, you know, somebody that isn't in real estate might hear 38 and be like, oh, okay, whatever. The average for real estate agents is like 6 a year.
Huh. That's pretty high in my view.
Like, yeah, I mean, honestly, last year there was, I think 800 agents that only did like maybe 1 to 4 transactions, you know?
Yeah.
So doing 30 to 40 is like top 3% realtors in Spokane.
Nice. What are you working on? What are you pushing hard on to make that happen? What's your daily grind sort of habit that you're really focusing on to make this happen? And then who's a client you really would love to call you based on this recording? If someone said, I heard this guy and I want to connect with him, who would you like to call you?
Yeah. My first couple of clients have been first-time home buyers. So that's been something that I've really enjoyed because like I have some knowledge in this area. Like I said, I started in August. Like nobody thinks I'm a, you know, master real estate agent at this point. But with the knowledge that I have and the resources that I have through Keller Williams and Alex John, things like that, like I don't want this to sound like prideful or braggy, but like I bring a sense of peace to the situation. Mm-hmm. And like it can be quick, you know, like you can go from, I saw a house I loved on Friday and we're putting an offer in on Saturday,
nice.
You know, and it can be a really quick and nerve-wracking experience. You know, this is the biggest investment that you're probably going to make in your life.
Yeah.
But my goal and my, like, who I want to be as a realtor is I want to take all of the insecurity, all of the uncertainty, take that away from you and give you peace about the situation.
Nice.
And the clients that I want to work with are, I want to work with anybody that God puts in my path. Like I like the idea of working with first-time home buyers, but like I want to work with investors. I want to work with, you know, people that are downsizing, people that just had their 5th kid and are like, we need more room, you know, like I love in real estate that like I get to help people in a really tangible way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is awesome. All right. Contact information. How does someone get a hold of you? What's a good, best way? Do you like text? Do you like email, phone calls? We'll put it right down here or right over here. It'll be down. Yeah. Phone call, text message. Do you want me to say phone number or do you just want to throw it up on the screen later? Yeah, go ahead and say it and then I'll also put it on the screen too.
So phone number for me is 509-951-0414. Joel Waite with Keller Williams. I want to have good conversations with people.
Nice.
Whether you decide to work with me as your realtor, like I just want to hear your story and see how I can help.
Cool.
You know?
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast. It was fun having you. You got some cool stories. You're a good storyteller.
Thank you.
My name's Alec, coaching the Red Line, Joel Waite, Keller Williams. If you know a pastor or a leader of a local church that could use a coach or spiritual director, I'd love an invitation or what is it called? Like a referral. Yeah. Give them my name. And if you know someone that might be thinking about buying a house, Joel Waite, give him a call. His number will be right about where his hand is right now when I'm all done doing the editing. Thanks so much. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.